on the surface, but in reality he's a vampire hunter. When he opens his toolbox, underneath lies his hunting weapon. Bud enters the mansion fully clothed. He hung a wire on the door and began to search around. That's when an old lady appeared. Bud shot her immediately, but the dead old lady stands up and the muzzle of her gun heals itself. She showed her fangs. Bud immediately shoots and kills the old woman, who dodges. She jumped up and kicked Bud with such force that she damaged the wall. After the fight, Bud finally finished the old lady. At that moment another man appeared after her, but he doesn't see Bud's trap. His head was cut off. Afterwards Bud pulled their fangs out. When Bud got home, he first locked the 7 locks on the door. Once he was sure he wasn't being followed, he was able to wash off the smell of vampirism by rubbing sulfur all over his body. But Bud didn't know he'd messed with the wrong person this time. At night, the chief vampire returned home. He looked at the old woman's body and wept tears of blood. He's a cleaner on the surface. At night he finds the new neighbor who has moved in with a man plotting something, but Bud doesn't care, unaware of the danger that is creeping up on him. As soon as he returned home, he immediately locked the 7 locks on the door. Just moments before, Bud had taken George to a weapons shop to find a friend, only to find his friend on the table. His teeth had been pulled out to spell out Bud's name. Immediately, Bud realizes that a vampire has come for revenge, but Bud was too anxious to raise money for his daughter to take the warning seriously. He heads to a suburb, but then his rivals appeared. These 2 men also wanted a share of the money. Desperate to raise money, Bud agrees. He handed George a neck brace to prevent him from being killed by a vampire. The 4 men set off. They slipped into a villa. Inside were 2 young vampires. Before they could react, the vampire hunters opened fire. Strangely enough, the interior of such a large house was at night. Lee, in the car, realized something was wrong and went upstairs to check on the situation. Hearing the noise, Nancy stuffed the paper into her mouth, pretending that nothing had happened. Lee then took Nancy away. He stopped the car in front of a convenience store, as if to test Nancy. He let her get out of the car alone to buy an ice cream. Lee sat in the car and watched her every move. Nancy, who had managed to escape, didn't dare act impulsively. She obediently brought Lee 2 ice creams. Lee gradually let go of his wariness of Nancy. He began to treat her better and better. He even let her sleep in his room. But the next day, when Nancy came back to the basement, Lisa confronted her angrily. "Did you sleep upstairs last night? I asked if you slept upstairs last night." It turns out that Lisa had fallen in love with Lee while she was in captivity. Seeing Lee's growing affection for Nancy, she became jealous of Lee. In the car,